Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. I'm your boy Bodkins, and of course, with me is my guy, your boy K Witt, and Mr. Birthday Boy, Mr. Bobby Blunts. That's right. Joining us. Bobby's on a birthday vacation and still wanted to come and hang out with me and Witt, talk UFC, 311. What a night it was on Saturday night. Justin Gaethje shines in the third round. What a head kick by Marcio Rufy. But nonetheless, we got to the main event, and it's Bobby. You nailed it on the pre-show. You said it's big ink time, and I don't want to say he proved it, but he won Saturday night. Some people are trying to tell me that Pierre won. I had it 3-2. It 2-2 kind of going into the fifth. It's all about how you score that third round. I know I talked to you before tonight, and you said you had a 3-1 going into the fifth round. What's your thoughts? Well, I'll start with you, birthday boy. And big ink time. Your thoughts just on the main event, and then we'll kind of talk about what's next for both of them.
I mean, on Goliath kind of implemented almost a perfect game plan. I know a lot of people look at Pereira stopping like 10 takedowns or whatever the number was, but to me, that really doesn't, tell the story of the fight. At the end of the first round, Goliath realized, hey, I can press him up against the fence and I can more or less keep him here. So I'm going to implement that. And every time he did that, it was really, tiring out his arms and just kind of slowly wearing him down. The first round, that was the round I gave to Pereira. I thought it was pretty clear that was his like most definitive round as far as like the scoring and stuff. He was hitting that leg kick early, but at the same time, Goliath was also throwing a leg kick of his own, and he was pressuring, moving forward, and it just made Alex eventually accept fighting on the back foot. And then in that second round, I really do wonder if that happened midway, if he would not have gotten him out of there, because he definitely was rocked there. So it was definitely a hell of a fight. Like I said, I had it 3-1 going into, like, I thought Pereira needed a finish in that fifth round. I get that the third is probably the closest one as far as the scoring there. But in the end, I also ended up giving on Goliath the fifth as well. So, but if they want to do a rematch, I'd be more than fine with it. I was kind of a proponent to maybe just having him go up to heavyweight and fighting like Cyril Gahn or something like that. I think you'd get the same amount of hype from it. I don't think, the UFC is really at a, disadvantage of not having him be the champion. Like he's still going to draw no matter what he does. He's kind of already, broken through to that. So, I just am kind of concerned because, like, with what I saw in that fight, I would think a rematch would go more or less the same way. Like, he was able to stop the takedown, but he really didn't have an answer for being able to get off the fence there. And, they had to have known that going in. I mean, they were definitely. Planning for it, but he that was kind of like Poten's downfall is he seemed so worried about the takedown he could never really get the striking going. And the fact that he landed as many significant strikes in that fight as he did in one round of the Jamal Hill fight, I mean, that was just more uncharacteristically wild to me. But definitely a good performance by Ann Goliath. I mean, I know the bigger story is Potent losing, but definitely got to give him his flowers. I think it definitely will freshen up the division with some new matchups after they get this rematch over with. So excited to see kind of what direction it goes. And I'm sure we'll get into the Tom Aspinall repercussions of it but I think it worked out a little bit better for him for getting that John Jones fight booked.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. You're right though. Like we've never seen Alex really fight on the back foot like the whole time. Like this angst, whether it was angst pressure, whether it was the thought of the takedown. Um, I didn't. The fight really wasn't like aesthetically pleasing on the eyes. You know what I mean? Like it was a close fight. I thought Ant did enough to win, just but it just wasn't what we've seen from Pierre, from Alex, and I don't, a lot of it. I said this during the Khalil Roundtree fight. Eventually, the activity in all these camps are going to catch up to you. I think that had a little bit to do with it. It never seemed like Alex could get going. Whether it was throwing the hands or anything. Like the first round, he had the leg kicks going, but even that kind of went away. It just didn't seem like there was a much. I thought rounds 2 and 4 were the clear rounds for Ankalaev. I think it was this end of the second round where he hurt Pierre pretty good. Kind of stumbled him. That was like the biggest shot of the whole fight. I was just surprised of Alex's, his plan. Just like the whole back. I would have seen him get taken down 10 times and just at least he's swinging. Instead, it was just like there was 0 for 10 takedowns. I saw a lot of people online like, well, he was 0 for 10 on takedowns. Like that doesn't mean anything. You don't score a fight whether a guy takes you down, like whether he was stops takedowns or not. That's not what when we're making on the scorecards. And which, I mean, we'll get into the scorecards on some other fights. Those judges, Jesus, especially the first few fights of the night. I don't know who was judging some of those fights, but I just thought Pierre just on the back foot, and some of it you got to give your cap to Ankalaev though. Like tip my cap to him because he did have a good game plan. He did have, he won the fight, but to me the night is more about, like you said to me, Alex Pierre losing more than Ankalaev winning, and maybe just because of the star power that Alex has and the things that he's done. Of course, you get all these bonehead motherfuckers on X talking about, oh, he was washed. He was never that good. Shut up. I watched him knock out fucking everybody. He's fought outside of Jan Blachowicz and Ankalaev. Don't tell me he's not good. What about your thoughts on just the main event? And then I'll get to Rob's question here.
Oh man. So first off, to say that we got an opportunity to watch 313 and we like Bobby likes to say, we didn't necessarily poo-poo it completely, but I think we were given a treat, an unexpected treat. That's just overall. On the main event, bro, let's keep it funky. I think to see Alex Pierre in a position in which we normally don't see him in as fight fans, which he looked uncomfortable, but the mental snapshot I remember was he's doing a lot of leg kicks, right? Right, it's a lot of leg kicking going on. He's chopping at that tree. I think he was trying to anesthetize or stun Ankalaev to the point of, so you're not going to try to do accomplish these takedowns. Your legs are going to be tired or they're going to be in pain because I'm going to get away with that. But as you mentioned, Bodkins, and I was really like into it. I didn't, surprisingly, I think I went to sleep and I woke up right around the end of the King Green fight. I didn't drink, so I was completely sober. So watching it and seeing it real time for me was a big thing. When I think we got to like that second round, and I wasn't necessarily counting, but to go back and look at the disparity of significant strikes where Ankalaev got 29 and Pierre's got 18. That to me is uncanny for a Pierre fight. Then you go to the fourth round and it's 19-7, which it looked like by the fourth round there was a lot more of course of pacing going around. Fifth round is a little closer, as significant strikes were 20-14. To me, it really looked like the game plan was to fool him just enough and have him anticipating something that never really happened. The takedowns, 10 takedowns got stuffed. You know what I mean? But all he was waiting on was that one where he gets picked up and dropped. And it didn't happen. And it looked like he was extremely
felt like, yeah.
Say what now?
I mean, I thought you were talking about Alex wanted to throw one. He just never threw one to knock.
Yeah, and that's what I feel like he was waiting for an opportunity the entire time, and he didn't take it. But at the same time, the preparation for Ankalaev to wrestle you, like he was thinking like I felt like he was playing for the next takedown could be the one where I could either knock him out or he may get me. You know what I mean? And in the end, he's backing up. He's playing off his back foot, and literally when Ankalaev was closing the distance those couple times, man. And Bobby said it. Those hooks were landed. You know what I mean? Clean, flush, head turning hooks were landing on Alex Pereira, and that is. I mean, even Khalil Roundtree landed some good shots, but these were very much not the regular hit Alex Pereira. And just like you said, what was that out of the third? Like that was to me, and you could tell, Joe Rogan and everybody else, and it was visible. You know what I'm saying? The mood shifted even in the coverage of the fight. Like, wait a minute, are we witnessing Alex losing? The optimism kind of went out of the room. But in the end, I think this is a great opportunity for Alex to show us how great he is. A lot of times, just like Israel Adesanya, right? A lot of times, the loss that you take to a opponent such as Ankalaev can elevate you, especially if you can come back and win convincingly. A knockout victory, a unanimous decision in the next one shuts all of this down. You know what I mean? It's not like Ankalaev dominated the fight from rounds 1 through 5, had him on the mat, had dominant position the entire time, rocked him 2 or 3 times and got him, on top of him, close to a KO where we were near a ref stoppage. None of that type of dramatic stuff happened in this fight. So if we come back in 4 or 5 months, midsummer, July, August, we get a Pierre Ankalaev 2, and then it doesn't make it to the second round, it doesn't make it to the 4th round because Pierre knocks him out or, something of that nature like we're used to, then this fight goes out the window. I am anticipating the rematch, which will happen, I'm sure. But but for now, Ankalaev is the champ, man. Give it to him for sure.
Do you guys think that Pierre is like his? It seems like you've watched his Instagram and stuff like that, like his all these out here like kind of like not really training. You see all these videos of him doing the side quests, I guess the kids would say. He's out here just doing all these different things,
doing the mining thing out there in the jungle with the that headdress was a bomb headdress.
He's like in a lake, like diving in ice and things like just doing all types of stuff. Do you think he didn't take this fight serious, or just like this lifestyle finally caught up to him? Maybe.
I personally don't accredit that anything to the performance, mainly because, like, if you look at the first round, like when they went to the stool, like, what's the first thing he said to Glover? He was like, "Oh, is the takedown defense, is that good?" Like,
yeah.
I think he definitely, prepared. There's definitely some strategic placement on this to, make it in the middle of Ramadan. So, I definitely think, if anything, Ankalaev kind of overcame more and stuff. Like, it's almost why I find it so much more, because, like, granted, he was not like wrestle fucking him, but being able to make Pereira look like that when in the past all it's been has just been blanking guys, like, that is almost more impressive to me than Ankalaev getting like a first round finish, because like you're literally able to, because the first time the fight happened, I was on pins and needles because even though Ankalaev was steadily winning, there was always the chance of that left hook coming and stuff. And then the longer it went on, there was like less and less chance of it happening. But, with that equalizer, it was always like, this does not, like, it wasn't close on my scorecard, but it felt like at any second the momentum could shift, and Goliath just kind of still executed it. And I think with how just popular he is, we just see so much of that because, like, in the last few weeks, it's not like unless you're like Sean Strickland or someone like that, they're not really going that hard with the sparring and stuff. So I think he did the necessary, grappling adjustments, which was why he was able to stop it. But he was able to really just defend. He was not able to, get off of those positions. So I have no issue with them giving him the rematch, but I would ask, like, if we get that same exact fight again, which I would kind of anticipate. I mean, keep in mind, like, I was all in on Pereira, and before when we were asking for this, picking him, and pretty much went back on that and ended up having to side with on Goliath. This was exactly why. Like, he implemented that to a T. He was not going to fumble it again. And so, yeah, you got to give him the credit. I definitely think there are a lot of great matchups, outside of the potent rematch. But, like, what do you find more impressive? Him getting the belt back at 205, which is going to be a hard enough thing to do to recapture it, even if they give him an immediate one, or getting a win in another division. Like, if he were to, like, what's more impressive, a
Ooh,
decision against on Goliath or a KO against Cyril Gahn?
wow. Oh,
Well, I
wow.
mean, if it Cyril Gahn would be for the title, so I would say a win over Ankalaev. Like, if you're gonna move him to heavyweight, it's got to either, like, he's gonna have to wait for John Jones and Tom Aspinall to get done. Um, I don't want to see him just against anybody at heavyweight. I want to see him either for the title at heavyweight or the title at light heavyweight. Like, I believe he's done enough. I don't think he needs. Like, I get when he had the Jan Blachowicz fight in the best. He only saw him really like a couple times. He had two title fights, right? As a middleweight, won one against Izzy, lost one against Izzy. So I get trying to work him up. Hey, is this guy, who's he going to be at light heavyweight? We kind of know who he is right now, and I don't need to see him against Cyril Gahn. I'd rather see him against Tom Aspinall or John Jones. Like, that's. But to me, I want to see him run it back. I want to see him. I want to see if he can make the adjustments and against Ankalaev. Like, I would rather see the run back. Now, it would be more impressive if he did win, if he beat Aspinall or Jones and got his third title and becomes. I mean, I think only BJ Penn. I don't even think is the only person ever to have three different belts.
Belts. Yeah, I think you might be right about the pen. You might be right.
BJ Penn only got two.
Yeah, no, I
Was he
think
the
he was
weight
just
class?
welterweight and lightweight. I know he's
Okay, so
fought in
he'd be the
multiple
first
weight
person ever to have
classes.
three. Yeah, he'd be the first person to ever be a champ in three different weight classes. So that would be historic. But he's getting up there in age, so it'll be interesting. What I'd like to see him run it back. What about you, Whit?
Man, to be real, I'm definitely interested in a rematch before we have any wayward movement for him to go to another division. Bobby was making some really good points, and he said that the training or the lifestyle should not have played a part into what we got to witness. For me, it's a really reminiscent of a fighter that I think we all can appreciate how good he was at one point in time, and where he kind of went left, so to speak, especially as his popularity rose, and now we see him trying to regain that same type of fire that he had at one point in time. And I'm talking about Charles Oliveira. Oliveira was on fire at one point in time, could really basically do no wrong, and then all of a sudden he shows up to press conferences with blonde hair. We got pictures of him, you know, enjoying life, walking tigers, things of that nature, videos of him doing things that people with money and who are champions do, you know. and then bow, the title's no longer his, and we have to see him restructure his lifestyle to bring him back to where he wants to be. In my mind, and I could be completely wrong. This type of loss affects some champions really well. And I think that Alex Pierre will mentally strip himself of the outside world, go back to the roots of what he did, what made him who he is, and he'll come out even better and stronger after this. I don't see a world where even if Anka Live rematch happens, the output and the pace is not set by Alex Pierre. He very may well could lose, but I felt like the pace and the output of aggression was definitely in Anka Live's corner for like 65% of the fight. Where normally we're watching Pierre, press a guy up against the wall, land shots, become aggressive or not aggressive whenever he wants to. This was kind of the opposite. So I'm looking for a change in not only what we've seen from Pierre, but a change from the fighting style that we've witnessed. I don't think he's going to play games if they get a rematch. Is my point.
Yeah, I want to say so. What Rob is saying here too, and I kind of agree. Like at this rate, Alex could fight at heavyweight for the next 5 years and probably dominate the top three, and that's kind of true. Like, I mean, he has 2 fights at heavyweight. Like that's the only like if it's not Jones or Aspinall, like after if let's just say he beats those, like what's next for him? You know what I mean? So
I mean, I'm not a Cyril Gahn guy, but the reason I suggested the Cyril Gahn as the example, you know what fight you're getting stylistically. He's not gonna have to worry about shooting. So like that's why like the Goliath rematch, I don't see that going any other way because he is still going to have to worry about that. He's gonna be, checking his hips every 2 seconds. And I don't see how at least if you go to heavyweight and you give him stylistically, you're getting the fight you want. Because Jones and Tom, you're gonna get the same shit. Like that was one thing for me. I have no problem if he never goes to heavyweight. Because knowing the 2 people that he would have, how do you think they're gonna hold him against the fence? So
yeah,
I'd really have no problem if he stayed at 205 and went because like even if he loses this, there's still like fun fights with like Olberg and you could do a Jamal Hill rematch. There's a lot of like options still, even though like because he's gonna be the A side in whatever it is.
yeah, I agree there. But I just think like I think as a competitor too, you always want to get it back. He probably believes that he's a better fighter, even in the cage. It's not like he thought feels like he's the better fighter. So I think he's gonna. He kind of already said like I want to do the rematch, and I think the UFC. Believe me, we saw Dana White's look on his face Saturday night when
I
when they.
immediately knew I didn't even need Bruce to read the
I did too.
scorecards.
I did too.
Like, oh my,
You
like
saw Bruce show Dana the scorecards,
It's,
and then
yeah, he immediately
saw,
put
you
the
already knew. Like I
no,
literally could have turned the TV off then. I didn't need to hear and knew. Like we
right,
already knew just by Dana's body language.
right.
So like that, I think they're going to give it back to him. I want to get to something Rob asked here real quick before we get to the co-main event. Looking at the rest of the year, what are the 3 biggest fights you want to see? Just doesn't seem like there's that much big to look forward to right
And,
now.
and that's
I
not
would
true, Rob.
this kind of goes into the discussion we had last week of like the UFC not having the big stars, but Bobby, I'll go to you because I think you're probably already got your big 3 picked out.
I mean the big 3. Damn. Like it doesn't matter like whether or not I think the fight will happen. So I'm just gonna go like easily Ilya Islam. I need that. And then I will still throw Jones and Aspinall in there because especially with Alex losing, that's probably the best outcome we could have got for hoping for that fight. Because at least they'll have a little bit of, it still won't be easy, but they'll have a little bit to go off of what they can do. And I know we're not getting it because Bilal is fighting Shavkat, but or not fighting. He's fighting JDM, but after that, I do hope that we still get Bilal Shavkat there, because for me that really needs to happen, and I think it's already in the books and it's happening. But Dustin Poirier's final fight against Max Holloway, that's going to be special. I'll wait to hear the rest of your guys's, and if not, I'll throw a few others out there.
Go ahead, Whit. What about you? You got 3 fights that you want to see the rest of the year. I mean, the year's still young. We're only
Still young.
we're only 3 months in here.
Straight up, off the top ropes and through the table, we're gonna just go ahead and say we want to see John Jones, Tom Aspinall, June 13th.
I think we're all in agreement. That's the one.
That's the one already written in stone. Ain't nothing else gonna change that one. So we might as well let's just go ahead and stamp that with approval. Somewhere down the line, I in all actuality, I am interested in seeing what is going to come of the Dricus Duplessis Khamzat Chimaev route.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a good one too.
Completely forgot about that one. Great
Yeah,
call.
Dricus,
that should actually be my number one under Ilya.
Right. Dricus and Khamzat Chimaev, although somewhere in there they may try and stick somebody else, but we don't want to see Sean anymore. Nasruddin just now beat Israel, but Khamzat Chimaev is the best fight that you can make right there at middleweight. And then and I want to be real. Let's keep it funky. We've got a champion who vacated to move up from featherweight to lightweight. So I'm interested to see if the UFC immediately sticks Ilya in the ring with Islam, or maybe gives him a title elimination and makes it Armin Sarukian Ilya, or Charles and Ilya. I'm not necessarily sure how they may group it. I remember the week before we were having that conversation, Bikens was, staunch on the idea of, he's a champ, you put him with the champ. And I'm kind of leaning towards that. So if it is, Ilya versus Islam, cool. But if they give him the title eliminator where he has to go up against, I think, a stronger, more felt fighter, which is Armin coming back from his his injury, I think that'll be something I'm looking forward to too. So in a way, I gave you like 4. We said 3. Rob, you said 3. I gave you like 4.5.
Yeah, I like all. I don't really have one to add. I would say I'm actually really looking forward to the Volk Diego Lopez next month. I think.
And they were hanging out.
I was gonna say, if we're talking about stuff booked, you can look to that entire Miami card.
Yeah.
And like those, like you can give 3 answers off that. Like, Patty versus Chandler, Volk, John Silva, Bryce Mitchell, Pratis, Neil Magny. So, those should be great.
Check out my guy Rob Nakamura. Rob's going to be my special guest on Sunday. Check us out. Be here at 7:00 Central. So Rob will be my one-on-one guest. So tune in Sunday for a special episode of the Bodkin Show. He says also too, Khamzat just got a UAE citizenship, so the visa seems likely now. So that seems like the travel restrictions may take off. And Rob's chiming in here. He said, I'll give you the DDP one. He liked that one as well. So
I think that one is like the one I 100% is getting made this year. Like
somebody's got to.
I don't see a scenario, whether it's in America or not, that one will get booked.
Yeah. Somebody's got to fight the boogeyman. Somebody's got to put the.
So Rob's saying they're not superstar fights, though. Well, Rob, like we had the conversation last week with the other Rob, about that too. It's like the UFC doesn't really have Jones Aspinall is the superstar fight, and then maybe when you run back Alex and Alex and Ank or whatever Alex decides to do, I think Islam versus Ilya would be the superstar fight. So there's your 3 superstar fights.
And then
I mean,
go my bad. Go ahead, Bobby.
the craziest part about it is the UFC has done a lot to make the model be the only superstar that matters are those 3 letters
Yeah.
in the UFC.
Yeah,
And like you're
nobody
seeing it
want-
like look at the fighting nerds, for example, you know, like all those guys are pulled off Contender Series. So they have them
Yeah.
on the lightest contracts. And then these guys know how to market themselves. So they're like getting even more hype. And that, like, they will do that model. You know, they figure, hey, we got the wide net and we can get, you know, so and so guys that will be the it superstar. But at the same time, we'll just have the bulk to really have a monopolization of the whole sport.
It's the WWE thing. We don't want you to be bigger than the brand. The brand is what we want people to know. We don't want you to be bigger than the brand, because what happens when you get bigger than the brand?
You get Hulk Hogan, brother. What?
You get people end up leaving, right, for different ventures. Even Conor McGregor became bigger than the brand of the UFC. He left, like he went and did the boxing and all this, like, you know. So like that's the key. Don't become bigger than the brand. We can't let them become bigger than the brand.
And for real though, it's an opportunity for us to get a clean rotation in. You know what I'm saying? Right now, the world of the WWE is so topsy-turvy because, you know, we've never seen this many superstars touch this many belts in such a short period of time. You've never seen this many classic, what I would call vintage fighters come back just to be heels. So it's the same. It's the same type of imagery when we think of UFC right now. And Rob, you know, shout out to, first of all, shout out to Jay Speck, my dog, with the space. Everybody, you know, comes in and talks UFC. I love getting in there with him and the guys. But Rob Thomas, you know, I say, you know, one of the next pillars to have possibly reached the pinnacle of superstardom was going to be Sean O'Malley. He was going to do it. It was going to happen, but it was just undercut by a better figure in the sport, which of course just so happens to be somebody with an unlimited gas tank in Marab. But the thing is, now, where do you put someone of that stature? If Sean put on a little bit of weight, I'd love to see Sean go, you know what, screw all this wrestling. Let's just get a BMF fight going. You know what I mean? That would be a superstar move. You want to be like in the WWE, you want to be that guy that goes, you know, screw this, let's change the narrative. Go out there, put on some weight and fight for the BMF. You know what I mean? He didn't connect with the people as deeply as you. The thing is, I beg to differ a little bit.
Good call.
Here's what I'm gonna say to that, and Rob, I kind of he didn't connect with us.
Yeah, there we go.
We're the older generation. We're all mid-30s or in older. He's connecting with the younger 20-year-olds in that group. Like, I would say he connected there. Rob's same age as us. So like, to me, he's not connecting with us because we're not dyeing our hair and to listening to Tekashi 6ix9ine and all that shit. No, like he's not connecting with us, but I do believe he's connecting with the younger generation.
He's probably more responsible for bringing in any younger, newer fans than anyone you would think.
And I'm gonna agree with you guys on that one. It's the notion that we are the generation above now. The generation below us, you know, where the appropriation of the culture. And when I say the culture, I'm just talking about what kids think is cool, what you think is appropriate to do with your body, which includes the tattoos, which includes the dyeing of the hair. We live in that age now where the kids are going, man, screw this. I'm going to do what I want. Not only do I not have to conform to your society and go get a job, I can do it from home, Dad. Let me play the game and play Fortnite all day long. I bet y'all make more money than you. Sean O'Malley is that person for them. And that's why they threw him on the not the Underdog commercial, but what's the other one? The Prize Picks. They threw Sean on the Prize Picks commercial because he's a figure. And guess what kids like to do now? Spend their parents' money on betting and overs and unders. And right at that time, he was reaching that point where he could either go up or down. And unfortunately, he took a loss when he got in there with Marab.
Yeah, let's get back here on 311. Speaking of, we were talking about the lightweight
O'Malley
division.
for BMF in 2026. Let's go.
You love the BMF title. You love that fake ass title. The Justin Gaethje turns back the clock a little bit. Nice win. He lost round one. Won round two. I had him winning round 2 and 3. I was listening to Rafael Faziev's interview with on Ariel Helwani's show. He said Justin hit him with the uppercut in the second. He said his whole life he wanted to know if he could stand up, get knocked out and keep fighting. He said that was pretty much answered on Saturday night. He was in La La Land, Disneyland. But Justin kind of after the fight said he wants a title shot. He said he considered the fight with Max an exhibition. And he deserves a title fight. I don't really know how I feel about it. The queue is kind of getting filled there. We need to see some fights there as soon as possible. And Faziev also mentioned on Ariel Helwani about dropping down to 145, which I kind of like that too. Whit, I'll start with you. What do you make of the co-main and kind of who's next?
Man, let me tell you something. First of all, brother, if you try to choke me out with your butt in my face, you got to die. You just the meter is on red. I am weak. I'm murdering.
That reminded me of like a Big Brother move where he's trying to fart in your face.
Right. Thank you. Yes.
He holds you down and he's trying to fart in your face. That's like a Big Brother move right there.
Right. You know what I'm saying? But in all actuality, man, on short notice with a banger like Gaethje, this was what we want. I can't lie. I'm in a training class for a new job right now. Me and the other guy who accidentally said we like UFC, we're in Teams, Microsoft Teams, going, damn, I wish this was Dan Hooker this weekend. You know what I mean? But even though it wasn't Dan Hooker, Justin Gaethje, we still got a great product, in my opinion. Faziev went out there on short notice and gave it his all. We know the first fight was a slobber knocker as well. This one, to me, it showed Faziev's resolve. Like, just like you said, he wanted to know if he could go out there and take a punch like that from Justin Gaethje. And they showed it like on numerous cases. Justin Gaethje had him in the tie collar behind his neck and dropped him with that uppercut, drove his face into his fist. That for me was like a heart catching moment. So for me to witness that from Faziev, like all my credit went to him in that moment. Justin, man, is a madman in there when the motor's running. When the motor's running, there are very few people I would like to see in there with Justin Gaethje. But this one was one of those ones where all right, look, we saw you take a really tough loss. This is a bounce back fight. Let's put you back in the main stage. Let's make sure that you're nowhere near anywhere else but a co-main or a main event in the third or fourth quarter of the year. And let's see what we can do. Is it a title? Is it a number one eliminator? We don't know. But right now, as the year progresses on, you gotta have Justin Gaethje on your bingo card for 2025. You got to mark it with an X, and you got to make sure that the next thing that happens to him is something that we can pay attention to and that we're glad to see, because it was worth it. Unfortunately, Faziev on short notice did the best he could. What else can you ask for? You know what I'm saying? It wasn't what we saw weeks ago when, somebody goes, I don't give a fuck, put me in the ring, and then gets knocked out immediately. You know what I mean? But for me, this was a great idea. It was a great fight. Faziev gets my respect. Justin Gaethje gets put up a little higher in the rankings just because of the performance.
Bobby, this is a mess of the lightweight division. Like, it is stacked. Like, Ilya coming up now. Like, I mean, Justin does probably make a case for a title, but like, what do you do with him? Because then you got Charles there. You got Armin pulling out, made it a mess too. like like that. This is clouded it up because like there's no clear-cut number one unless you do Ilya. But then what do you do with Justin? What do you do with Charles? And what do you do with Armin? Like this is you got 4 or 5 guys here, and somebody's going to be out holding their dick in their hand.
It sounds like Islam wants Justin, or maybe we should say it sounds like Ali wants Justin, because both I think accounts have been tweeting, "Hey, time to give him a time," and
He signs
I
out of one,
really,
and then he signs out of one, and then signs into the other one.
yeah, I really have no argument against Justin to not give him the title shot. From Islam's perspective, it is a fresh opponent and stuff. And, Armin did really have the um, unfortunate scenario of knowing that he needs one, and which gives Justin the leapfrog. But I don't care what you classify that BMF fight at 300. Fact of the matter is, the man that KO'd you KO'd that man and was the only one to do it. So I'm not really about like, hey, you can like wait it out. But especially with how Justin normally is activity wise and stuff, I mean, why doesn't just etch him in to get the winner of Islam versus Ilya? I think that would make the most sense. I do think that Charles and uh, Armin are probably going to end up fighting. That seems to be like, do a 5-round rematch of that. But it's hard to not deny that it is a complete mess. But that's probably the benefit of, having the same manager. They're going to like work with the common goal. So, yeah, you can't rule out Justin getting it. I would definitely love the fight. Um, but at the same time, I would kind of have to favor Islam in that fight. But that's kind of irrelevant. It's a fresh matchup, so you can't really deny Justin.
I mean, him and Ilya would be a fresh matchup. So you know what I mean? Like that's like that's
I'd have no complaints at all. I think that'd be a pretty epic promo. But that to me would be kind of bizarre because like one of those guys should be fighting Islam next. So like matching them up together, like then what's Islam gonna do? Just like wait it out? Like I've never been a
I
proponent of
meant if I
wanting
meant
to
if
see Oliveira too. So
yeah, I meant if Ilya fights Islam, that would be the fresh matchup. Like it's tough to be sitting in the matchmakers like because I don't really know what you do with Justin if you do him and Armin, but then what do you do with Charles? You know what I mean? Maybe if Patty wins next month, that might help out. Then he could fight one of those guys.
I think Justin has the ability to sit out and get a title shot eventually. Like if he does not want another fight before a title shot, I think they would more than oblige that with him. Because especially this would be assuming that they'd be booking because if it's not Ilya, I do think Justin has put himself in the conversation to leapfrog like Charles or Armin.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens there because Charles is coming off a win over Chandler. So, like I said, if Patty wins, though, like he could get there. So, like, I mean,
If he wins, it's gonna fuck it up even more because you can make the same argument that he could get a title shot.
I was just about to somebody can make that argument and say, "Oh, Patty's next." It's almost as if we're stumbling towards a tournament of sorts for in that division. Like somebody's got to fight somebody to beat the next person. It's just that close. And then in the end, the winner gets the winner of Islam and Ilya.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm looking at it, so like 4 and 5, it's believed that Max and Justin are going to fight, and they're 4 and 5. Dan Hooker's out for a couple months. Ada, then you get into Ada's Gamrot. Like,
Just run
man,
back the Dan Hooker fight. I mean, I think the argument would be, would Justin want to take it knowing he could get a title shot? But
that's
like,
true.
if you're just like looking for something to do, give me that violence.
Yeah, he might take that back. Yeah, yeah. I would if for Ziev. What do you think is next? Is it? I like the move to 145. If not, he talked about running it back with Gamrot. I'm okay with that too.
If Ilya Taporia was moving up to my division, I think I'd move down too.
You like the move to 145?
It's a lot of like fresh matchups. So I'd kind of be interested to see how he does like with the weight cutting and stuff. He seemed pretty confident with it, but I immediately think of like him versus John Silva or something like that. So
Oh, man.
that entire division is there are a lot of good ones there. I'm not gonna lie, there are a lot of good matchups I like for him in 55 too. So I mean, he kind of has that style to where you're getting a good 15 or 25 minutes depending on where he's placed on the card. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I'd love to see that. Why not?
What about you? What about the Ziev moving to 145? You like it? I'm a fan.
I'm with it. It's I think due to the briefness of the reality in which he had to realize he had to fight Justin Gaethje, the idea of not cutting weight and being serious about that in the middle of whatever he was doing makes more sense. But in the long term, where he'll get fight camps, he'll get to properly train, he'll get to probably have his good nutrition and all that stuff like that. And he'll probably he's small. He's a big guy, but he's diminutive enough in size where we say we got to cut weight. You got to make 145 to fight Yair Rodriguez or something like that. I think he'd be able to make it. Bobby makes some really good points, man. The matchups in 45 for Fiziev really give me like good co-main vibes. You know, it's like three names I look at right here, and I said if you put Fiziev next to him, that's a really good co-main. It's definitely a main event on a fight night. You know, I wouldn't. I would. He's worked hard enough where I wouldn't put him in the apex. But a fight night main event at 145 against Brian Ortega, I'd take it. A fight night, 145 against
Arnold Allen.
yeah, Arnold Allen, I'd take it. You know what I mean? Josh Emmett, heck yeah, I'd take it. But right now, I really think if he could have a full-fledged opportunity to work out, cut weight, and still be healthy, because at such a short notice like this fight was, cutting that kind of weight is probably insane. Your kidneys are probably malfunction on you for the rest of your life. But with time, with the proper preparation, getting down to 145, and then taking on some really tough competition and moving up, which once again, just like Bobby said, Ilya's out. Who's in? Fiziev. Everybody slide up. It's like what is it? The Casper slide part 2. One hop this time. Everybody move up one. You know what I'm saying? So it's not so bad. But I like it. It's something I would be interested in seeing going forward.
So Rob wants to know, agree or disagree with Ilya top the Tapology pound for pound rankings over Islam?
Well,
Meaning Ilya is higher than him on Tapology?
A top, like at the top. Let me look. Hold on.
Ranking over Islam. So
Yeah, I mean a lot that just shows like I think the amount of people that emphatically there are a lot of people that just can't get behind Islam and hate him. Like for me personally, he's has to be under him until he beats
I
him.
would disagree, right? Like I think Islam should be higher. I would disagree.
No, yeah, Islam should be one. I mean, just off until someone beats him, he's one. At least in my book. You can I don't even know what that as like John Jones, but especially like I know like sometimes when like Wit will use topology, like breaking down the fights, and it'll be like, oh, it's like 98% for like the fighting nerd. It's because of the popularity. There
Right.
are like negative aspects to that too. Like there are just people that can't stand the Dagestanis because they're so dominant in wrestling, and they just sign up for
And it's not, but
the
it's
punch
not
and
like
brawling.
Islam's in there. It's not. So there's a huge difference in Islam, and even like, and then Khabib, like Islam will stand and fight with you. Like he is. We've seen him stand and bang, and been in some really fun, good watching, like good fights. Like I mean, the Volk fight, the Poirier fight, like those
And
fights
Khabib
were
hates
fun.
it. You could tell.
Yeah,
He's like, why don't you just use your wrestling?
Yeah, to
And
be
he'll
strong.
like Islam will definitely throw caution to the wind a
yeah,
lot more. And
yeah,
again, I don't think he gets enough credit for that. And
yeah.
it's another reason I'm more excited for that Ilya fight because I do think even though Islam would use some grappling, I think he'd want to beat him in his own game. I mean, shit, that's essentially like what Ankalaev did on Saturday. He found a way to beat Alex Pereira at his own game.
Yeah.
And, that stuff is impressive.
I want to finish up the 311 talk real quick. So we're getting up to the top of the hour here. Uh, Ignacio Bahamadias wins in a sub. Jalen Turner's retiring at a
Retiring, yeah,
young age of what 29, 30.
right.
It seems like he was checked out mentally. Like it like talked about. I almost wanted to retire after 300. So we wish him and the best of his future endeavors, whatever he decides to do. I think
Mm-hmm.
eventually maybe he'll come back after some time away.
Mm.
I mentioned this off the top, but Marcio Ruffy's knockout
Woo.
of King Green.
Oh my
So I
God.
was watching it live. I thought he missed him with the kick, and then then you watch it back in real time, or on the replay. Man, that was one of the nastiest knockouts you'll see. How far? He called out Beneil Dariush after the fight. Give me that fight. Let's get Marcio Ruffy in the Fighting Nerds. Put a number next to his name.
Yeah, bro. So straight up. First off, I gotta give it to the fighting nerds. I gotta give it to Marcio Rufi. This was one of those like what are like it seems like every other fighting nerd we get to see we're going what trick are they going to pull out of the bag for us this time, and that spinning heel kick, bro, come on, man. I did not expect that, and just like you said, in real time it looked just like it just edged King Green's head, just edged it. But those are sometimes the worst knockouts. Going forward, man, Rufi's got a high ceiling. I really feel like somewhere in here, you know, it, this is the fight that gives him the clout that he needs to be, you know, let's say main event fight night type joints. You know what I'm saying? Let's go ahead and get him going. I mean, he's only had what, 2 fights in the UFC, and he's got a knockout, a unanimous decision, and another knockout under his belt right now. I think right now, especially in the lightweight division, when we look at competition somewhat mid tier, because right now Rufi's not ranked. Let me look.
No,
Oh wait, yeah, okay. So Rufi's not ranked. So if let's say if you at let's say right at the lowest, if we throw him at 12, we still talking Patty. We still talking Benoit Saint Denis. Like there's still fights out here. Moicano made us look crazy a month ago, but he might have something to say now, and when he's prepared to fight somebody, he's exciting enough for me to go. Okay, well, you said Benil's boring. Let's do Gamrot. If that, but with no Gamrot, let's do Moicano. Like there is some tough competition down somewhere anywhere between 8 and 15, and there's about 3 or 4 guys that I can definitely point out to go. Hey, look, You did really good against King Green. He's on a little bit of a downslope. What can we do to make the next one exciting? Here goes fighter A, and here goes fighter B. Your choice. And either one of them will be somebody that we will want to see in a co-main for sure. But look, hey, knockout of the year candidate, maybe we may be talking about this in November, December for knockout of the year candidate, you guys. So he put his, like I said, after 3 fights, he definitely put the lightweight division on notice, because that is not normal. That kid came out of nowhere. It was a flash, and pow, it was over. So and it wasn't even get on top and strike him. Nah, it was over from as soon as he felt that foot turn and hit the ground. We knew King Green was out, baby. So big shouts out to Mauricio Rufi and the Fighting Nerds riding off into the sunset with a W again.
Yeah, they're undefeated. The camp is in the UFC. I think they're like 18-0. The Fighting Nerds are, so that's crazy. What about you, Bobby? Like I like the Dariush. I was looking at Grant Dawson's right there. Ignacio got ranked is 15 after the win over Jalen Turner.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as like Ruffy goes, that the wide stance and everything, he just did not seem to respect Bobby Green striking at all, and that was the result. Pretty brutal flash KO there. And yeah, Ignacio, great performance. He made that look relatively easy. Like Turner made the decision to go to the ground, and he seemed more than ready. You could definitely show, you know, Bilal rubbing off on him and stuff. As far as the grappling, and I think it's a kind of even thing there. With he definitely has been improving Bilal's striking, so pretty interesting pairing. He should definitely be fighting someone higher ranked. You got to give Ruffy credit for the Benil call out, because Benil is going to be looking to wrestle. So it's good to see Ruffy not just calling for like style friendly matchups and stuff. I know it'd be a way huge of a jump, but I think the closest we'll ever get to seeing Justin Gaethje fight Conor McGregor would be Justin versus Ruffy there. But the fighting nerds just keep getting those finishes, and there's going to be a bunch of guys that they can put him on. I know he called for a fight night. Hate to break it to you, Ruffy, you are going to be on pay-per-views forever. When you have like KOs like that, they are saving you for the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So definitely kept that momentum going, and more or less I thought the card more or less delivered. Not to go on and hype on the Lemos fight, but I really wish Joshua Van was on the main card. That
Yeah,
was a
shout out.
great performance from him,
Yep.
really shutting down the wrestling, and being able to figure out a way to unanimously beat his opponent. And it kind of worked out that he was on the prelims, because a few fights got canceled, like with random sicknesses and stuff. But yeah, more or less, it was kind of a sneaker card, but it all delivered in my eyes.
Yeah, Brendan Schaub called that fight, the Lemos fight, the worst fight in UFC history. I disagree. To me, I always say Rose versus Carlos Esparza. I do want to the card started out just absolutely a shit show from the judges. Real quick, I want to just get on this soapbox. I mean, poor Francis, the fire marshal. He won that fight. I don't know. The only people that thought he lost that fight were two of the judges, watching that fight. I don't know who was Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles or something, because in Helen Keller, like those had to be the three judges, because I don't think anybody thought that Fire Marshal lost that fight. In the fight for that to open up the card, Ozzy Diaz versus Santos, I thought Santos won that fight, and they kicked it to Diaz. And then they were like, then they gave it to the other Diaz in the fire marshal fight. The refs the judges Jesus, I thought it was going to be a long night from all the fighters just based off the opening two fights, because the judging was horrendous.
Kind of shows you how fucking dominant on Goliath was. Because even with the judging shit show, they're like, nah, we can't do that. Because, yeah, those two, like, were egregious. Like, I was rooting for Marin Santos, and there was no way you could give him that fight.
No.
And it sucks when they win like that too, because it's not really the fighter's fault that the judges fucked up, but then afterwards, like, they have to pretty much justify why they won. Like, what do you expect them to be like? Oh no, I definitely lost. The judges botched that. It's depending on the more egregious part is it was in Vegas, so the commission just continues to show the inconsistencies there, but. Fortunately, it didn't matter for the top fights, but yeah, no, both those guys definitely got fucked over for sure.
Yeah. Van's calling for a fight next month. I saw in an interview or something, which is wild. Like, I mean, he fought like 6 times last year, so like the guy's pretty active. So to give him some tough.
He's one of my favorite watches at 125 easily.
Yeah.
It's you definitely know like what type of fight you're gonna get with him, and at that age, why not roll with that activity? The UFC loves that shit.
Yeah, he'll be rewarded. Before we get out of here, any boxing news we need to get into?
As of right now, there's a lot of the speculation still going on to the next fight between the light heavyweight unanimous belt holders, which would eventually turn into Dimitri Bivol and Mr. Joseph Benavides, the Mexican Monster. So we are looking forward to that. Of course, we got some big names coming up. We got Rolly fighting Teofimo Lopez. We got Ryan Garcia. All of that. The press conferences for those were like all Sparks led. So that fight is that card is going to be on the calendar for us to discuss in a couple weeks. And so right now, it's a little bit of a lull for boxing, but we're definitely getting a chance to think and look at what is next and coming up in the next couple months. So more read and reaction from what happened with Tank. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you go to your black friend's house, if you see that can of Murray's hair grease, don't put your finger in it and touch your eye. Thank you very much.
Yeah, they ruled in Tank's favor. They poor kid Roach. Real quick,
dog shit fucking commission, absolute fucking dog shit.
Yeah,
they should be ashamed of himself
because there was no review on site that night. There was no review of film. Shut up. That's first of all, everybody saw it. Okay. All right. I'm like straight up. I'm in a street fight and I go, hey, bro, pass me a towel. Knock me the hell out. All right. Just knock me out.
Rob, I'm guessing you're talking about the TKO boxing. I think it's going to be, they're going to have a shit ton of fucking money with Turkey and TKO combined. Oh, yeah. So,
and now all these other boxing promoters are taking notice, and it's like, oh shit, he don't want to play with me no more. Yeah. And these are the aspects where Turkey will actually make money, where he's gotten into the sport kind of just dumping money in. So looks like he finally wants to make a profit. So I'm buying it in the aspect of I don't see how it could be unsuccessful. Like, if they can sell Power Slap to a bunch of people in India, I'm sure they'll have success with this.
Listen, bro, and I said this earlier. I said this last week. Thanks, Rob, for bringing it up. In real life, the idea is, and I want to say salam alaikum to all my brothers and sisters of Islam still going through Ramadan and whatnot. It's happening with everybody over there going, we want a spectacle in Saudi Arabia, right? So now you put Dana White next to Turkey Al-Sheikh. That's the Bagfo and that's the Pitbull, okay? You got the money, but Dana White is going to make sure that the conversations that need to be had are being had, and then the other sanctioning bodies, the other big promotions, they're going to want to play ball. They're going to give you look, I got these 4 or 5 fighters in my stable. Here go 2 out of the 4. Let's put them in the rankings. Let's make some things happen. And then we got Matchroom. Matchroom is going to go, hey, I got here go four of my fighters. I'm going to add them to your promotion. Let's get the fights going. And it's going to happen where, eventually, Al Heyman, you can't say Al Heyman's name too many times without like red beams going through your window. But Al Heyman's going to put your 3 fighters up. Matt, like I said, Matchroom, Golden Boy, the money team, they're going to be there. But the only thing is they're not going to have the last say so. This will be an opportunity for Dana White to wave his to throw his weight around, so to speak, and for Turkey Al Sheikh to be in the background and just nod his head. When Turkey says yes, when you look back on that, when you're looking at that Zoom camera and he finally nods his head and goes, okay, Dana White's going to go, all right, boys, it's on. So here goes the paperwork. I'm sending it to you. Sign it. If you're not signing it, you're a pussy. And that's it. Poop, hang up the phone. Everybody else, you get to go to Turkey Al Sheikh. Is a nice man. He's the nature of his conversation is very soft spoken, is very well spoken. There's none of that extra street element that kind of comes into Dana White's office, and Dana White's going to slap everybody coming to the table with the realistic numbers in the view of, hey, you're not the A side, you're not the B side. You know who's the A side? TKO Boxing Promotion, if that's what they name it, is the A side. You are all the B side. You take this money, everybody will be happy, because in the end, when you leave TKO and you go back to Matchroom or Queensberry or Golden Boy or whatever, you will have a name because you fought with us. So it's worth the shot, is what I'm going to say.
So so we got a couple comments here real quick. So Rob said, how about WBA president WBA announcement being of different opinion on the Tank fight? I didn't know that. And then he said, what did he say here? He said, because I can't type everything I want to say about this, but not about profits. It's about monopolizing the audience of boxing and not dealing with the alphabet gangs. Yeah, you're right.
That is correct.
That's like the UFC. Like everybody chooses the UFC. It's the number one monopolized. And they're going to try to monopolize on boxing as well.
And there will definitely be a bunch of resistance to this, just like when Turkey originally came in and there was a bunch of resistance to him. But eventually, all of them will end up bending the knee because, no one's going to give them the type of money that he is.
And look, Rob has got it right. In my opinion, the main thing is the word monopoly sounds so bad until you realize how the money is broken up in when these other promotions are basically robbing each other to have these fights that nobody is really anticipating happen. You know what I mean? If you really look at the A side or the B side of something like the Lamont, Roach, and Tank fight, you'll be surprised. If you go look at the A side or the B side of the Benavidez fight and the Monroe fight, like a couple months ago, you'd be surprised. This is going to even the playing field. We're going to strip away all of that bull because you like to fight in England. Oh, you fight in Australia. Oh, you only fight in Russia. Oh, he's a Mexican. Strip all of that down. Who's good? Who ain't? Here goes the money. Put your name on the line, and if you win again, your purse goes up. Simple.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see. I think they're trying to get TKO's trying to get their first. I think Turkey said August or September is what when he was on the Pat McAfee show. So, Data was not happy that Turkey said that, but that's what Turkey Man said. So.
It's kind of the most enjoyable because I got to find some comedy in this because it is kind of grim when you look at it through the aspect of what they're doing. But it is funny to see Dana actually having to work with someone that he can't just call a fucking idiot. And, he actually has to like show some type of like respect. And you haven't seen that out of him in a while.
I don't think in most normal cards, no, Rob, I don't think so. Like there'll be a few special cards like the one we got a couple weeks ago that are stacked that people will sit and watch. I think the TKO brand will be much like the UFC brand where you're going to want to sit down and watch, all 12 fights or whatever it is. And the pacing Dana already said the pacing will be much.
Oh my God. Listen, bro, those fights in Saudi Arabia come on at 2 in the afternoon, which of course the time difference is crazy. So it's at 2 in the afternoon for us, and the main events don't start till freaking 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. You know how much of a lapse that is? Yeah, I can't imagine what they're doing in Saudi Arabia during these times.
That's
But
true, Rob. Exactly. Look how we say Saudi Arabia like it's a normal place. Like doesn't cut people's heads off. That's what they're buying boxing for. 1,001%.
listen, bro. Hey, look, when the oil barons and the sheiks get together and they say, I want my son to be a man, sit in the front row and have the blood hit his face from him seeing another man beat each other and for a prize. That way, when he goes to school in America, he knows how to handle his business. That's what you got to give him, bro. And unfortunately, although the culture is different there, this is what they do to gain and garner respect from one another. They throw their money around.
Yeah.
And to a degree, in America, they do it a little. They without the head cutting off, we do the same thing. But over there, they're doing it to prove a point to the masses. And unfortunately, the price difference is huge. The price difference.
I mean, they are making deals with the devils, like we know that. But
yeah, that money make you do a lot of strange things, Rob. That money make you do a lot of strange things.
America's got plenty of severed heads under their
okay.
$1 million man once said everybody got a price. All right, well, that pretty much sums up the show. This has been another great episode of Head Kicks and Haymakers. We'll be back here 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern next Wednesday for my guy Whit and birthday boy Mr. Bobby Blunts. Again, happy birthday, Bobby. How old?
38. It's Goliath time.
Oh, shit, 38. I'll be 38 in 2 weeks, actually.
There we go.
Everybody sliding on that 3-8, baby. I'm out there in April, baby.
So, this card. We didn't even talk about this card this weekend because it's absolute dog shit. So,
Vittori for the win or nah?
Sure.
I mean, the way it's appreciate it, Rob. The way it's built, like I was looking at it, I was like, whew, like Waldo is on it fighting Ryan Spann. So like that will be a enjoyable hate watch. But it's there might be some secret ones on it, but I don't think there's really too much point of breaking it down. That London card next week, that's built a lot more there's a little bit more meat and potato. Like this is like cards like this are why the Apex will always be around, because there's no way you could take this shit to anywhere with a crowd.
Hey man, look, we're gonna throw.
You can't tell the difference if it's in the mighty Apex or arena or stadium when you watch it on TV.
Listen, Kurt Hollabaugh,
Shapiro smoking crack.
Yeah, Kurt Hollabaugh smoking them. Doladies smoking them. Chidi in Kanu.
Say Roman. We'll go with the Roman Empire, Roman Doladies. All right.
Yeah, Roman.
We'll see y'all next week.
Oh yeah, there's like my pick for this fight is it will be a decision. Who wins? We'll see.
Doladies by decision. There we go.
Doladies by decision.
I love it. You guys are so great.
Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, let's talk sport, friends. Thanks for watching.